Our next guest is Buddy Mendes, who is a supervisor, a county supervisor,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, county supervisor.
All right,
Yeah,
so good to have you on the show.
yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Johnny. Right now, I'm actually the chairman of the board. There's 5 supervisors. Actually, there's 58 counties in California, and 57 of them have 5 supervisors. Even the Los Angeles County, which has 10 million people, only has 5 supervisors.
10 billion people.
5 million.
5 million,
5 million,
okay.
yeah. Now, San Francisco's different because the Board of Supervisors actually acts as the city council.
Okay.
You know, so it's the only county in the state that's a little bit different.
Now, what do you guys do in these back rooms? It sounds
No,
awfully...
we only have the front room.
Okay.
So no back rooms.
All right.
Actually, we are the keepers of the money,
Okay.
you know, for the county. So it's we fund the sheriff, the district attorney, the auditor controller, the tax assessor, and they are elected positions. So we just fund them. We do not run them.
Okay.
You know, so that's the basic of what we do. We take care of the roads out in the counties that aren't in the cities and that aren't Caltrans roads. You know,
Okay.
so we have Public Works takes care of that. And they also do all the permitting. If you're out in the county or you live in an unincorporated area, if you get a building permit, you know, you get it from the county.
I see.
Of course, if you're in the city or a incorporated city, you get your building permit from the city, not the county.
Okay. Now, what necessitates your position as opposed to just having funds kind of set up each year, kind of like...
Well, each county is different. So you have discretionary money, which is basically tied up in running the county. But then the great welfare system of the federal and state government, the rubber actually hits the road at county level. And that's probably, our budget's like 2.2 billion roughly, and only 400 million of it is the normal stuff you do in government, in county government. The rest of it is all the great welfare system of the state and federal government.
I see.
And we have about 7,100 employees.
Okay.
4,200 of those actually work in social service divisions, which do the implementation of all the welfare stuff, you know, and the...
Okay. Now, I'm pretty ignorant of county politics, so this might play out well for the viewers who might not know anything. So if I ask you some third-grade questions...
Okay,
about
maybe
this
I
stuff.
can answer them at least a first-grade level.
All right, great.
Okay.
Great. So is there party affiliation with
No,
county
it's
politics?
nonpartisan.
Okay.
Right now, the sitting supervisors, there's 2 of them are Democrats, 3 of them are Republicans, and it'll stay that way.
I see.
And 2 of them are leaving, and 2 new ones are coming in.
right.
So we have Henry Perez leaving, along with Debbie Puchigian, and Nathan Magzik will be taking Debbie's spot. That's District 5, which is Clovis in the mountain areas, and Sal Quintero will be taking Henry's. So like right now in the Tower District,
There's
that's
some turnover
part of,
going
that's
on.
Henry Perez, part of his district.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And they're roughly, by population, roughly about not quite 200,000. You have 200,000 constituents.
Interesting. Okay.
So what do you think of the federal election this year?
Oh, boy.
See, I'm
everyone have
asking
an
the
opinion?
questions here.
Yeah. Doesn't everyone have an opinion on that? Well, so we don't start a war or anything, or turn away viewers. Let's talk about you.
Okay.
What actually
Oh, this
got
is
you
like
in?
Thanksgiving dinner or something?
Yeah. Why can't we have a turkey right here?
Yeah.
I would enjoy
Don't
that.
talk
Some mashed
politics
potatoes and gravy.
at the Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Actually, I never thought about doing it. Actually, I knew what they did. I've known every supervisor that sat in my seat, District 4, since Vern Conrad, and so I've knew Vern. I knew Tom Perch. I knew Judy Case. So that's 35 years supervisors, so I kind of knew what they did. And when Supervisor Case decided not to run, she had been on for 16 years. I decided, hey, I know I can do that. I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically that. And I'm actually a farmer. This is
Okay. Interesting.
I farm with two of my boys. In fact, one of them's named Johnny, and they.
What do you guys farm?
We farm Pima cotton, upland cotton, wheat. We farm corn nuts this year. We have pistachios and almonds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So were you concerned about politics when you got into office? Was that?
I was always a watcher. I always like to help people.
Yeah.
That ran for office. That's what I like to do. Over the years, I helped Devin Nunes and David Valadeo and people like that. And Danny Gilmore, he was only in the assembly one term, but he was a good guy and a good friend.
I see. Does being a farmer affect being a supervisor?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Very much so. It's more that a bad supervisor could do harm to
the
ag.
farming industry.
In this county, versus a good supervisor can do good.
I see. Okay, and what is some of the bad? I mean,
Well,
I
you
see
could,
those signs on the side of the freeway.
Well,
that are
you
like,
could.
Dust Bowl this. And...
Right. Well, that's you're looking at federal now.
Okay.
Federal and state, mostly federal, but all your permitting, like say you want to drill a well, that's still a county permit that you have to obtain. Even no matter where you drill a well in the county, that's still a county permit.
Okay.
That's just a starter. Plus.
And that what drains the aquifers if you have too many wells, or?
Well, I can, but it's just the matter, really, of where you can drill them and stuff like that.
Okay. Very good. Tell me about county business. This past election, were you up for election?
No, I wasn't.
What are your terms like?
Our terms are 4-year terms.
4 years.
We had 2 supervisors that left, and then one was elected unopposed. That was Andreas Borges here. He represents the north part of Fresno and out towards Clovis.
I see.
And 2 of them retired.
Okay. So what does that void look like? Or
No,
who's
it's going to be
filling
very
the
good.
spots?
It's very good. Sal Quintero, who is he's been on the city council for years.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be a great addition.
Okay.
And Nathan Magzik, who's on the Clovis City Council. He's currently mayor of Clovis. He's going to be a great addition.
Okay.
So we have 2 great additions. It'll be the dream team, not the movie.
Good. Are there any concerns that you have?
Oh yeah, we have
for the county?
right now probably our biggest thing we're directly involved, but we're not directly involved, and that's the Groundwater Stabilization Act.
Explain that to me.
Well, that was passed at the end of 2014, and it's pretty complicated. The city of Fresno sits on the Kings, it'd be the Kings Basin water, the underground water. But this basin goes from basically past the Kings River to the south, over just south of Mendota, all the way to through Reedley and Dinuba. It's multi-countied. Part of it's a little bit's in Tulare County. But there'll be 7 groundwater stabilization agencies that'll be formed. Some of them already formed, but they'll be formed. And then they have to figure out and then they have to coordinate together how they're going to keep the groundwater from falling to stabilize it.
Is that bureaucrats
No,
trying to get things done?
No, this is irrigation districts and
Okay.
cities and.
I see.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of good because I understand groundwater, how that works. Not only being a farmer, I was on Riverdale. I live out in Riverdale, and Riverdale has a utility district, which does there. It does the water, does sewer. We have our own fire department, and our own lighting district. We don't do roads and we don't do permitting. That's county because we're unincorporated. So I've got a 20-year history with dealing with that. So I mean, I got a lot of experience from that. Plus I've the 30-some years of farming.
Okay.
Because I farm not only around Riverdale, I farm in Westlands on the other side of the Lemoore Naval Air Station, and I also farm down in Stratford.
I see.
And I've had a lot of experience drilling wells over the years.
Oh,
Some for myself, some for the city.
I've seen that done, and it takes
Yeah.
a special kind of talent.
Right, and it
be
just
able to
depends
do that.
how deep you're going. You know, if you're gonna drill a domestic well that's 350, 400 feet, that's not that big a deal. Well, it is expensive, but if you're drilling a municipal well that has to meet all the drinking water standards, that becomes a lot more complicated deal. Like even the spec book to drill a municipal well is usually 250, 300-page book
Okay.
that has all the engineering stuff in it and what you're trying to do.
Now, do you, at the county level, feel any kind of pressure at any time from federal or global type politics?
Well, yeah, well, because you've got, state regulations that state house passes, and the Assembly and Senate and the governor signs, and those are new. And then you have initiatives. One of the we have to deal with Prop 57. We had, I don't know if you know what AB 109 was.
I don't.
Okay, that was a legislative act that actually what it did, it took state prisoners and put them in the county jail.
Okay.
Okay, so right now, if you went downtown, went into the jail, there's about 3,000 prisoners in the jail. 700 of them are state prisoners, AB 109s. So, and county jails really aren't set up to house state, prisoners that should be in the state prison system. So that's just more, but again, that's the sheriff that's her responsibility. So, she runs the jail and we just try to fund it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's
that definitely
one.
affects you guys.
And then Prop 57 kicked a lot of people out of jail, which was bad again because the crime rate has risen. And just atypical of California, if something doesn't work, they double down on it. So I call it doubling down on stupid.
Now, Prop 57 in a nutshell, other than just being stupid.
Well,
what is that?
It dumped, again, it reduced sentences on some prisoners.
Okay.
But they call it nonviolent, but it's not. That's not true. It was probably one of the. There's no truth in a ballot initiative. What's actually written on the short statement,
Yeah.
and the short statement that was written for that ballot was complete falsehood.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always scary
Oh.
with that pen in your hand,
Yeah.
checking boxes that you haven't even researched.
No, you have to have research. You have to go to.
You can't trust this stuff at
right,
face value.
Right, you cannot exactly.
So sad.
Yeah.
What are some other concerns you might have?
Still, public safety is still one of the biggest things that we have to do because actually between the sheriff and the DA and even just the whole criminal setup is probably 3/4 of our budget. Between those two, between the sheriff and actually getting people a proper trial, because we have to defend them if they don't have a lawyer,
Right.
So we have to do that, and then the DA has to prosecute them, and then we have to house them in the jail.
So you got to pull a rabbit from a hat, so to speak, with your budget.
Yeah,
and
you're
getting
very
things
nice
done.
there. I would be pulling that rabbit from somewhere else. But
Or pull a turkey. Let's
yeah,
bring
there
it
you
back
go.
to turkey.
Yeah, turkey.
Any plans for Thanksgiving?
I think I'll be at my brother-in-law's house.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I could talk more about the Groundwater Stabilization Act. I think there is some good things with the federal election. I think the Valley's actually has a pretty good voice on what's going to be happening in the Interior Department, for what's going on, with the water situation. This is probably the best chance for the Valley to get something fixed since Ronald Reagan was president.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So I mean, this is really big.
Yeah, it could definitely bring some prosperity back into the valley.
Well, I mean, just bring some water. Bring some of the water that's there that, is being taken away for actually no good reasoning.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how much ag do we produce for the U.S. of A.? I remember hearing a staggering number.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but it is staggering.
And to put the
There's certain
squelch on the
things,
water.
yeah, like I think almost over 80% of all canning tomatoes in the world are actually grown in California.
Wow.
A lot of the garlic, which is either fresh or that goes into the spice deal, is grown here in California.
Which I love smelling driving
Yeah,
down the freeway.
right.
That's nice.
A lot of it was grown and there's still a plant over there in Gilroy, but most of the garlic is still grown in the valley.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so we definitely produce a lot.
Right.
Even
right.
with having our hands tied behind our
Right.
back with the water situation.
Exactly.
Okay.
A lot of a big percentage of the pistachios and almonds are grown right here in the valley.
What is the competition for that water? I mean, what is it that's holding it back? Or
no,
you might have already mentioned it.
Okay, it's actually the pumping restrictions in the Delta.
Uh-huh.
Really, even with a biological opinion, I always look at it as it's like a road, and really it's narrowed down to basically a 2-lane road. And what's happening now, instead of staying in the middle of the road, the way it's being interpreted, we actually have to park off on the side of the road, or we're traveling it real slow down on the shoulder instead of actually doing what we could be doing, even with the current biological opinions.
And what are those?
Well, those are pretty complicated.
Okay.
It's I don't think I could give it justice in a show like this. So, you have the biological opinions, and then you have how the Bureau runs it. Because the Bureau has to look at Fish and Wildlife Service. They might tell them, okay. A good example is last winter, when there was a lot of rain, there was actually flood release in the Sacramento River. Mm-hmm. So there was tremendous amount of water coming into the Delta and out into the bay. And Fish and Wildlife didn't want the Bureau to pump. They had the pumps really throttled back, and their excuse was the water was cloudy. We don't know what's in it. The pumps have screens in them on the back end, and they know what they're pumping. And there was no, smelt. There was nothing in the pumps. But they said, well, it doesn't matter. We want you to slow them down.
Okay.
So what it is, it's bad. The bureaucracy is just went nuts, and they went from bad 8 years ago to way worse.
Okay.
So there really needs. In fact, I'm on the San Joaquin Valley Air Resources Board, and in fact, I'm the vice chair right now. I'm the representative from Fresno County that sits on that board. A good example of how things are really messed up. The EPA, our air plan that's coming up was it was coming up for renewal last summer, and they never said, okay, we're going to renew it. It was approved by the State Air Resources Board, that plan. Okay. And the EPA had it and sat on it, and right up to the time to either approve it or disapprove it. So when the time came, they said, well, we're doing neither. We had a complaint from the Bay Area about your plan. Mm-hmm. So it put our plan put us in a position where we didn't have a plan. We can't meet attainment. We can't do anything. But they never they never actually said, okay, here's what's wrong with the plan. Can you fix it? That was never even a question. It was kind of like a pocket veto.
Wow.
So to me, that's a government that's not very inclusive, that isn't very transparent. It doesn't. It was no due process. Was nothing was done. So we could, but luckily there was a change in administration now. But we were looking at a problem of actually having our federal highway money taken away from us down in the future, and quite a few other things because of not meeting this deal.
Yeah.
Even though they never gave us a chance to do it.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. You're rubbing
Yeah.
shoulders with bureaucrats and trying to, it sounds like you're trying to get rid of some of the red tape.
That's right.
Make life easy for folks.
And I'm also on the, there's a 5-county joint powers group that's trying to build Temperance Flat Dam. I don't know, do you know what okay.
Haven't heard of it, no.
Oh, you haven't? You're from Fresno?
No, I'm from Northern California.
Oh, no wonder
so
you don't know.
Tell me about it, though.
Okay, Temperance Flat Dam will be above Friant. You know where Friant is? The Friant Dam,
heard of it.
Millerton Lake.
Okay.
Okay, above it, right above, actually on the end of the lake, in the lake itself, we'll build another dam there at Temperance Flat. That's kind of the lake in the very back narrows way down. And the idea of building that dam is Millerton only holds about 500,000 acre-feet. The new dam will hold another additional 1,000,000 acre-feet behind it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in wet years, and probably the last wet year, really excess year we had here was in 2011. In any wet year, that dam is too small. They have to release a lot of water down, and eventually goes out to the ocean down the delta.
Okay.
And the idea is to build that dam so we can store more water. So it makes operations of the dam a lot better, where we can, make sure cities have water, the farmers on the east side have water.
Now, are there opponents to that, or is it?
Well,
just
no,
kind of...
we're trying to get some state money. We passed a water bond back in 2014, so this is to get the water bond has Chapter 8, which is 2.7 billion, and that's for above ground storage. So the idea is to get a piece of that, somewhere close to $1 billion, to help build that dam. That dam will cost about $3 billion. But that dam is actually a completion of a project that's already there. Because even Millerton was built with the hope of building another dam behind it someday.
I see. Okay.
So where are you from?
I grew up in Redding, California.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. All these politics and things of the Central Valley are new to me, but very much convenient for my job, which is to ask questions and be inquisitive. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Anything you'd like to add about the federal election?
No, I thought it was a very interesting election. I thought it was very entertaining. That a lot of the pundits missed the ball.
They were way off.
Way off, but
which to me is a significant hint that they're, what do you call it? Removed from the American opinion, and they're not. They're kind of making up more of a narrative than they are reporting the facts,
right?
Which bothers me as an American. It's almost like propaganda, being shoved down your throat.
It kind of reminds me of the Star Wars movie, the veil of the dark side.
Right.
But if you really think about it, what counties or in what areas of the United States voted for Clinton versus voted for Trump? It was the metropolitan counties, where people only know what's going on by what they see basically on the news.
Life is so busy that it's hard to keep up with the details of everything.
Right. Where you look at people that are actually can see what's going on around them, they have a completely different opinion.
Which are the farming and agriculture people.
Right, or even
the gears of the machine, so to speak.
Right, or even the smaller rural counties that, we're used to something here that's very different, that's different from the Midwest. You get around eastern Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, and in some of the areas in the Midwest, they'll have large manufacturing plants that are in small towns, which they don't have, here. And those counties just voted overwhelmingly for Trump.
Interesting. How do you see the Trump presidency affecting your position?
I think it's going to be very good.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Unpack that for me. What do you mean?
I think, like I said, I think we're in a position that we've never been in here since time of Reagan. Reagan had some California people with him as advisors in his camp. Trump is relying on people like Devin Nunes, who's a congressman from this area. He's very familiar with some of the problems we have here.
Okay.
And and I think the immigration deal has been blown way out of proportion. And I think a lot of it was how Trump handled it at the beginning, but how he got the nomination is a little bit different than anybody ever did before. I called it, he went in and used, you still familiar with WWF? Like actually used.
Which he was a part of. Yeah,
right, actually professional wrestling tactics, to.
Let me tell you something, brother. I can run this presidency better than anyone.
No, define the heel. Define the heel. The heel was the bad guy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, define the heel. So if you look at how he ran the primary, was he defined the heel. Which, and I think people have seen that and said, okay, he's different. He's not. This isn't the same old thing. Even the Bush administrations were kind of were Hillary and Bernie light. That mentality, but it was still light.
Still establishment.
Still establishment. Still, still wanting to easily be swayed by either side.
And you feel Donald isn't gonna follow that same footsteps?
No, I think he's going to be a little bit more pragmatic, a little bit more, hey, we're going to do what we say we're going to do.
I mean, he's got 4 years to prove himself.
That's right.
To a very divided nation. So, I mean, a lot could happen. He could deliver.
But he could deliver because right now you got two things. The Republicans are in control of the House and Senate. Harry Reid, when he was leader of the Senate, changed a few rules.
Which were?
Well, you don't have to. You can actually use the nuclear option and not filibuster. Just go by majority vote and move something on.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like the world, what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those deals. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Harry Reid was a Democrat, correct?
Right.
Okay, so he was trying to rig it for the Dems.
Well,
and
no,
it ended up backfiring,
it backfired because he didn't have a 60 vote proof deal. Remember when Obamacare and stuff went down? It was set up so you couldn't filibuster that bill to death.
Okay.
So they got it through.
Interesting. And that's different from executive order.
Well, executive order is a completely different deal.
Okay.
In fact, I think there's going to be a lot of executive orders that have been put in at least the last 4 years that will be gone.
Yeah, and most people don't realize the next president, if they don't like it, can just undo all those things that they did.
Correct, but to a certain extent.
Okay.
It's not foolproof.
Okay.
You can only go so far with an executive order.
Our executive orders are pretty new to our system.
Yes,
aren't they
are, because usually
that's not what the framers intended.
Right. The framers envisioned what's called regular order. Regular order is you bring something to a committee, you start a bill in a committee, and then you push it through eventually to the House floor, and then push it on to the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, you can start a bill in a Senate committee and push it on through, and then eventually it'll have to be in a resolution committee between the two houses would have to resolve the bill and move it on.
And those are the checks and balances.
Right, those are all
of.
part of regular order.
Okay.
Do you know what a continuing resolution is?
I've heard of it.
Okay, that's how the government is actually, federal government's been funded, because nobody wanted to go through regular order. Regular order is in the Ways and Means Committee in the House. That's where you're in your appropriations come out of there.
Gotcha.
And through regular order, and it's eventually pushed to the. Now there's some regular order bills that are hanging on the appropriations right now. So actually Obama could pass those and not do a continuing resolution.
Which means
what we've had. Okay. In other words, you just continue to kick the can down the road.
I see.
And you just kick it you kick it a couple of months down the road, and you just keep kicking it down the road.
Interesting.
Instead of having actual appropriations and going through regular order.
I see. Okay. Well, I hope for the best for this great nation,
Yeah.
They say, a democracy only lasts about 200 years, and our time is kind of coming up.
Well, you see,
so
but the thing
scary.
is, people don't realize that this isn't this is a republic.
Correct.
Right. It's
but
not
it's becoming more of a democracy now, correct?
Right. A republic's a form of democracy. And I think people keep thinking that, I use the old Greek states, like Athens used to be where everybody came to a town meeting and you voted. Mm-hmm. And that's a purist democracy. Our country is not a purist democracy.
No, we have the Electoral College.
Right, it's a constitutional republic.
Yeah. And why is that necessary? Because a lot of people don't like that.
Well, okay, the reason
at this point in time.
Okay, that was the believe it or not, it was the tyranny of the majority could overrule any minority. Mm-hmm.
Was it
pluralist, but if you have to look at it, and I use this, my grandson who was in 6th grade, we were talking about this last week, and I said, look, in the old 13 colonies, the reason our government's set up the way it is now, because in the original 13 colonies, New York, Pennsylvania, and Virginia could have ruled the rest of the group. So this is the compromises for the smaller states to be willing to join the Union.
To try and spread it out evenly. Now, most people would say that's obsolete now.
No, that's good government.
How so?
Well, you have a good deal right now. You have a massive amount. Okay, they say, well, Hillary Clinton won the popular election. Mm-hmm. You take California out of the equation, she lost the popular election.
Okay.
Just take that one state out of the deal. That means that maybe the people in this state aren't as well informed as they think they are.
I see. Yeah, there's definitely agendas here in California that would affect other states negatively.
Right.
Correct? So it's.
And see, that's one of the reasons how we came together was, okay, you have a House with a popular vote, which is the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. That's based purely on population. But the Senate you only have 2 senators. Rhode Island has the same amount of senators as California.
Yeah.
That's 2.
Okay. Well, I for one am pro checks and balances and pro electoral college, whether it's your red team winning or your blue team winning. It's important.
That's how you win.
It's a necessary.
That's how you win.
Yeah. And I think we all remember Al Gore losing out on the popular vote, was it? And
I think he slightly won.
College.
Yeah, he slightly won the popular vote.
Won the popular vote.
Yeah,
lost the general.
But it's happened before that.
4 times, correct?
I think something like that. Yeah.
Where the Electoral College, and they're voting December 19th, so this hasn't even happened yet.
Right, correct. And you're not bound by law to vote.
So that's Trump might not be our president if they decide to overthrow things. Well, it's a possibility.
No, but you put your electors in. You pick your electors.
Okay. How does that process work?
Well, I can't explain
how can you
it,
become an elector, so to speak?
You have to be picked.
You have to be picked by a party?
Right.
So that means you've had to be
approved by the candidate.
Okay.
So,
So not anybody can just jump right in and be an elector.
No.
It's got to be people who've proven themselves to their party.
Right.
That's sad to me, because you have to be a partisan.
Well, that's the whole deal, is to say if you won, some states actually Maine does their electoral college by county.
Okay.
Okay, that's actually done. It's a combination of counties that you have to win that area to get. So you don't win the state and get off. It might be 5 votes or 6 votes, whatever it is.
Okay.
But each region in that state could actually pick their electors.
I see. Well, it's been a great conversation.
Yeah,
I'm glad
I didn't
you came
intend
on.
to lecture you on.
No, I'm glad. I'm happy to learn, and you definitely know what you're talking about, buddy Mendes.
Hey.
Thanks for coming on the show. I hope you come back again and join us. So, Supervisor Buddy Guy, you're with District 4?
District 4. That goes from Orange Cove clear to Kalinga.
Did I just call you Buddy Guy?
Yeah, that's all right.
Buddy Mendes. Buddy Guy is the guitar player.
Oh,
correct?
is it?
Yeah, he's a blues guy. Anyways, I'm in the blues.
Yeah.
It's Thanksgiving week.
Yeah. So you got any place to go, or you don't have a place to go?
Yeah, I've got some friends. So,
okay.
I'll be joining them, but family's out of area. So, yeah. Good times, though.
Okay.
Good times.
Alrighty.
Thanks so much, buddy, for coming on.
All right.
We'll be right back.